First, it's really difficult because we all are referring to national identity with a different background and different understandings. So national identity, for me, is really what helps the people to feel that they are belonging to a nation, to a society, which is more than only being legally integrated. It's really to get the feeling that you're at home, that this nation, this society is yours. So it's something which has to do with psychological integration, not only with legal or cultural or religious integration. These are steps and conditions, but not the whole process. So when it comes to immigration and national identity, I think that it's really important not only to say, okay, when we get the legal integration, we are part of the society and that's it. We have to go further than that and to try to build the bridges between people who came, who are now resident, will become citizens, and then will feel that they are at home and that they are building. So it's a two-way process. Immigrants have obligations, which are to understand the society, to know the language, to have a sense of, the collective psychology. But the society has a great deal of responsibility in understanding in which way they value the presence of people coming from outside. There is a big problem because so far in the great majority of the European countries we still associate Islam and immigration, which is no longer the case. And it means that, yes, we are speaking about, European Muslim citizens. This is the way we are talking about them, but our perception is still that Islam is a foreign religion, is still the religion of the immigrants. And it's over. We have European citizens, they are Muslims and they are Europeans at the same time. So we have first to distinguish between being a Muslim, being a European Muslim, and immigration. This discussion is not the right one. Now when it comes to building a national identity, here we come with something which is a new discourse which is necessary in Europe about the fact that Islam is a European religion, is a Austrian religion, is a German religion, is a French religion, and this is something which is the starting point. To do what, in fact? To build this sense of belonging and to say, okay, we value your presence as part of the society. Why is it important to get at that level? Because at the end of the day, we all know in Europe that in the coming 20 years, we need not less than 20 million workers. Where are they coming from? They are going to come from Africa, from other countries, and mainly Muslim countries. So we have a process which is not going to stop. All this discussion coming from some far-right party saying, we don't want them to come. They are not dealing with the economic rationale. They are dealing with the cultural fears. But they have to deal with the economic challenges. And here, it's important for us to understand that the Muslim European citizens could help in the process. What we have to do is not to use the immigrants to shed suspicion on the citizens, but to use the citizens to help the immigrants to be more integrated. From the citizens' point of view, it's really important first to come to this discussion where we are not only speaking about the fact that we are European citizens, but we get this sense of belonging, which is really not only to know the language, to know the institutions, to be involved, but to be committed, to work at the local level. I think that to build trust and to understand that our societies are pluralistic. So, as I said, it's coming from, for example, within the Muslim communities in Europe, a very strong discourse, a very strong commitment to build this European Muslim identity. You are at home, this is your society, you are building it for yourself, for your kids, for the future, and the common future of all the citizens. So this is something which is really important. From the society, we have to stop speaking about integration and security. Every time we speak about Islam, it's integration and security. So you are doing one thing by trying to build bridges, but by trying to build bridges, you still build and nurture this sense of these are two different worlds. So Islam is a world and Europe is another world. So we have to come with a very strong policy from the governments, the European governments. And this is something which is really important, which is once again, not to confuse the problems, because there is a great deal of confusion. We speak about religious integration while we are dealing with social problems. Unemployment has nothing to do with Islam. You know, violence industries, this has nothing to do with Islam. Domestic violence, yes, the Muslims should say domestic violence is not Islamic, but 70% of the domestic violence is coming from within, you know, family for questions of drugs and alcohol, and this has nothing to do with Islam. These are problems that we have to deal with on the social ground. Here we have to come with this, and this means that we'll help to nurture this civil commitment from the Muslims. And having this, you are able to come to the immigrant and say, okay, in which way you are integrating in a society which is ours. Ours mean you and me. You, a non-Muslim, me, a Muslim, and people coming from abroad, understanding better that it's a pluralistic society. We're not asking them to forget about who they are to be part of us. They are with us with who they are, but they have duties and we have also obligations. And the duties, for example, about the language, to be able to speak the language of the, because the language is freedom. If you want to be free and a real loyal citizen in your country, the command of language is necessary, because with no language we are as in jail. So it's really something which is really important. So all this should be done. And then this communication between Muslims from within and Muslims coming from outside and saying, look, we are achieving something which is really important. We are at the same time Muslims and Europeans, and you can integrate this society without forgetting who you are. So the European Muslims are really important in the immigrations process, and this should be understood by our politicians, which is not the case today. There is something which is the discourse on Islam, for example. You know, many of the immigrants are dealing with the confusion we had at the beginning of the process when we came, which is the confusion between our cultures of origin and Islam. So many people are coming with the idea that the way to be a good Muslim is the way to be a Muslim from where as they were in the countries of origin. So it's to be a Moroccan Muslim in Europe, it's to be a Pakistani Muslim or Turkish Muslim. And we have to help them to understand, no, you are asked to remain a Muslim, but it doesn't mean that you have to refuse the European culture and only to stick to your own culture, because many things in your own culture are not really Islamic. They are against your principles. And many things in the European or Western culture are good as to the Islamic standard. So it's something to build this critical mind and to say, okay, look, don't confuse between your cultures of origin. For example, when it comes to, you know, the role of women, we have the problem. We have a very deep problem, and very often the Muslims, they are just importing, you know, habits, customs, and way of life, and we have to say, no, this is not Islamic, this is Pakistani, this is coming from the Arab culture. So you have to be critical with this and to understand that this has to be changed, and in this society you are able to do this without forgetting and without betraying your Islamic principles. So it's a very strong process on the roots, and this is why the Islamic discourse in the West should be rooted in the Islamic tradition to be heard, and should be also critical towards the cultures, also to be able to change something in the process and to help the people to be more integrated.